I have never been as much on the fence about a game as I have with this one. The game has many flaws. Many, many flaws. Some of which are so egregious that they damn near ruin the game. But on the other hand, this game also has several virtues that save it from being a complete disaster. So anyway, let's get into it. Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza for the PC. If one were to grade a video game adaptation based solely on how closely it looked to its film counterpart, then Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza would get an A+. No problem. The graphics are extraordinarily well done and look very close to the film. Hell, nearly every set from the film is done justice here. The Nakatomi Plaza lobby, the 30th floor, the 32nd, the 33rd, the roof, the vault. Even some of the regular corridors look just like the film. This is one of those cases where sometimes I just like to walk around and look at the settings just to admire how closely they adhere to the film. When it comes to the visual design of the levels, they did an outstanding job duplicating the look of the film. Unfortunately, when it comes to the movie characters, they didn't do quite so well. Actually, I'm being charitable here. In short, they fumbled the ball big time. Or in Die Hard movie parlance, the quarterback got toasted. In many cases, the character design in the cutscenes looks fucking embarrassing! I mean, I don't understand it. How can they do such a fantastic job on the level design, but then turn around and make the characters look like shit? It's truly baffling to me. Just look at these characters. Okay, I'll start with the good ones. Holly and Al look alright. I mean, they won't win any awards, but at least they remotely resemble their film counterparts. But the other characters, though, oh dear lord. First, let's look at Hans Gruber. One of the best movie villains ever, and this is what he looks like? Jesus Christ, he looks fucking terrible! My god, it looks like the poor guy's got Down syndrome! Couldn't they have made Hans look a little bit better? I feel bad for the late Alan Rickman. The guy gave such a great performance, and surely he didn't deserve to have his character portrayed like this! And this is the final character model, folks. Not a pre-render. Actually, even as a pre-render, this would be embarrassing. I just hope that the game designers ran out of money and time and this was the best they could do. Because if it wasn't... Ugh. The other terrorists don't fare too well either. Carl, sheesh! Look at him! He also looks mentally retarded. Was the directive from Up on High to make every character look like a retard? Because if it was, they succeeded grandly. I feel bad for the late Alexander Godunov, too. It looks like he also got shafted. So did still living actors like Clarence Gilliard Jr. I don't remember Theo from the film being bald and fat and having a lighter shade of blackness like Scatman Crothers. What, did they just skip the parts of the film with Theo in it or something? And some of the characters look flat out wrong. For example, Ellis. They made him look like William H. Macy. Last time I checked, Hart Bochner and William Macy don't look anything alike. Okay, maybe it was an issue with his likeness or some shit like that, but even then they could have done a little bit better. Not to mention that the character models in the cutscenes look as stiff as the Hulk on Extends. They don't even look human. They look like half-formed pod people. And the way they sound in their dialogue? But I'll get to that later. Woo boy, are we in for a treat. Yeah, like a Kit Kat covered in shit. Funny enough, the only characters who look good are the in-game generic terrorists. I don't get it. You make the principal characters look terrible and the generic characters look good. Was this game made in Bizarro Land? What's even more odd is that some of the graphical details from the movie are right on the money, and some of them aren't. Like the walkie-talkies. The game is set in the 80s, yet the walkie-talkies look like they come from 2002 when the game was released. Also, Hans carries a Beretta when he kills Takagi when he should be carrying an HK P7M13 pistol. And the flashbang grenades don't look like hockey pucks. Yet there are some other graphical details that they got right on the money. Like McLean's Beretta 92F pistol, the MP5 submachine gun, the Steyr AUG rifle, the Zippo lighter. How can a game be so wrong about some details, yet so right about some other ones? See what I mean when I say I'm torn about this game? Moving on to the controls, I think they're one aspect of the game that works well. Now the keyboard controls are pretty basic. It's WSAD controls to move McClane. In other words, W moves him forward, A moves him to the left, S moves him back, and D moves him to the right. Moving the mouse allows McClane to look around and aim. The Q button allows you to peek left around corners, while the E button allows you to peek right. You fire with the left mouse button, and the right one allows you to use the Steyr AUG scope to snipe enemies. 1 on the keyboard allows you to select the automatic weapons, while 2 allows you to switch between McClane's pistol, flashbang grenades, and the wire cutters. And the spacebar is for jumping. The only frustrating part of the controls is that ducking is the control button. It's a little awkward to press W and control at the same time to duck and move forward. And this gave me a lot of problems in one particular part of the game, specifically the Architect mission. Which I may eventually do as a Levels from Hell, because it took me nearly 20 fucking minutes just to get inside the goddamn building! And no, that's not an exaggeration. It literally took me 20 fucking minutes to duck and crawl inside a building! I almost rage quitted the whole fucking game because of that one part. But I'll deal with that more later on. Another frustrating part like this is near the end of the game. It's the Just Like Saigon mission. Like the film, McClane is hanging off the side of the skyscraper with a fire hose. He has to shoot the glass and swing back into the building. Now I do appreciate how faithful this part is to the film, but it is a pain in the ass to do. You have to shoot the glass and swing back with the S button, then swing forward with W. When you get to the open window, you have to press W and spacebar at the same time to get onto the ledge. Time it right and you'll get onto the ledge. Time it wrong and you'll fall to your death. And your timing has to be perfect here. And I mean perfect. If you don't press the buttons at the exact same moment, you'll fuck up and lose. I think it would have worked much better if you only had to press W to get into the building rather than W and spacebar. Other than those gripes, the controls are solid. Unfortunately, the gameplay is less solid. You have your weapons indicators displayed on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and 3 meters on the lower left. The heart represents life, the lungs represent stamina, and the brain represents morale. Why they had to show organs instead of words, I don't know. Maybe they're organ fetishists. Anyway, the life meter is pretty self-explanatory. As for the lungs, if you run too much, you slow down and have to stop to regain your stamina. Morale is a mystery to me. Apparently it's supposed to affect the terrorist AI, but the manual didn't explain it very well, and it didn't seem to change gameplay as far as I can see. I think they should have just ditched this part of the game because it really doesn't add anything. As I said earlier, the game itself really has me torn. It is very faithful to the film in some parts. And I mean very faithful. For example, you start the game in the bathroom and escape to the 32nd floor, just like the movie. But there are some parts where the game adds in extra scenes and action that didn't happen in the film. Now some of these scenes work, but some of them don't. For example, after you kill Tony on the 32nd floor, there's a mission called the Bomber. And this wasn't in the film. In this mission, you have to stop the terrorists from blowing up the elevator shafts. And you do this by killing the lead terrorist, stealing his wire cutters, and defusing all the C4. Now this mission can be a real fucking pain in the ass, let me tell you. And why, you might ask? Because you only have a few minutes to kill all the terrorists and defuse all the bombs. Plus, if you shoot the C4 by accident, it blows up and you lose the level. Worse still, there's no time to be careful. You just have to charge through the level and hope you don't shoot the C4. So you have to be fast but careful at the same time. And good luck doing that! Now some reviewers hated this level with a burning passion. And I can see why. Honestly, I wasn't its biggest fan either, but I didn't quite hate it as much as they did. Actually, it wasn't too bad, aside from having to run back and snip all those fucking wires before time ran out. Now there were some other non-canon missions that I did like. One of these is Argyle's Run. In this mission, you have to protect the chauffeur Argyle in the parking garage by shooting the terrorists who are shooting his limo. This was a fun mission, although chasing the limo got tedious after a while. Still, at least this part is exciting and it keeps you busy. Another good mission is clearing the bird's nest. Here the LAPD is under fire from terrorists on the 4th floor, and McClane has to, well, clear the bird's nest. This mission is fun because it's real simple. You just go through the floor and blow away a fuck ton of terrorists. There's no stupid side tasks to do or any shit like that. And at the end, you fight a boss with an M60 machine gun. Now this guy can be tough because his M60 is powerful and he can take some major damage. However, you can't beat him by stunning him with a flashbang and then shooting the shit out of him. Then you get the M60, which McClane didn't use in the film. Well, fuck it, I want to feel like Rambo anyway, so I'll go with it. Unfortunately, not all the extra side missions are so good. One of these is a sewer level called Not My Day. Sooner or later, all flawed games have a sewer level. And like a sewer, it's really shitty. You have to go down into the sewer under the Nakatomi building, swim, avoid getting shot by SWAT guys, and activate a bunch of levers and valves. And oh Christ, is it annoying. This is one of those levels that's really bad because of the controls. McClane can't swim the greatest, and you have to navigate certain parts of this level in near total darkness. While I'm on the subject of darkness, I hope you like it! Because another problem with this game is that some of the levels are so fucking dark that you can barely see where you're going! Okay, admittedly you can equip McClane's lighter to help you see and use his pistol to still fight back. But McClane's pistol is weak as hell and it takes multiple shots to kill enemies, unless you get a headshot. And you can't use the stronger weapons like the MP5 or the M60 when you have the lighter equipped. Okay, to be fair, that would be a little awkward. But couldn't they equip the other guns with flashlights? Or hell, get rid of the fucking dark missions altogether! Even in the movie it was only dark a couple of times and you could still see what was going on eventually. But this fucking game decides to put you into pitch black in multiple levels. Oh, and the terrorists have perfect night vision, but you don't. All you have is your lousy fucking lighter. Bravo, game designers. Bravo. One mission in this game is even called I Hate the Dark. Yeah, I feel you, buddy, because I hate the dark and so will you when you spend 30 fucking minutes trying to bumble your way out of this goddamn level. There's even another mission called Fumbling Around the Dark. Enough with the fucking dark missions already! The worst mission by far, though, has to be the Architect. It is the end-all, be-all worst mission of the game. No contest. It may even be the worst escort mission I have ever played in any video game. In fact, this cocksucking mission is so fucking bad that I want to do a Levels from Hell segment on it eventually. Right now, though, I don't even want to talk about the goddamn level, save for one point. One of the biggest dangers in the game isn't the terrorists. It's fire. In some levels, like the Architect, fires rage out of control. And to get through these areas, you have to put them out with a fire extinguisher. Now this is a nice little touch, I'll grant you. The problem is that the fire extinguishers only have a limited amount of spray, so you can't just keep spraying or else you'll run out. I made this mistake more than once. And you have to clear these fires out or else you'll be trapped and you'll lose. So you have to spray very lightly and multiple times to put all these fires out. There's just one little issue I have with this whole fire thing. If you'll recall from the film, the Nakatomi building, like many skyscrapers, has a sprinkler system. So why the fuck do I have to put out all these goddamn fires if there's a fucking sprinkler system? And while I'm at it, why is there so much fucking fire in the game at all? This is Die Hard, not the Towering Inferno! With all the fire in the game, it's a wonder the building hasn't already burned to the ground! Oh, well, maybe the terrorists disabled the sprinkler system on those floors. Yeah, smart move, Haas. Let the whole fucking building burn to the ground. To be honest, I'm not sure what's worse. Fire or the darkness? Well, take your pick, my friends, because they both suck. Some of the other missions are just odd. Like the R&D mission. Here McClane has to go to the building's R&D lab to save Mr. Ozu, the Nakatomi CEO. Why? Shit, you got me. I don't know, maybe to pad out the game a little more. But this level feels so out of place in a Die Hard game, especially with laser-protected doors and clean rooms. Is the Nakatomi Corporation developing bioweapons or killer AIs in its spare time? Really, this level would feel more at home in a Resident Evil or Siphon Filter game. And I think they could have omitted this section because it doesn't really add anything to the gameplay. For the most part, I think the game missions are at their best when they stick close to the movie. And some missions are very close. For example, when McClane has to flee the roof and crawl through the vents to escape Carl and his henchmen. Other good levels include killing Marco and Heinrich and tossing the former's body out the window to get Al's attention. Another is dropping C4 down an elevator shaft to stop the terrorists below. Also, there's the Build Clay level where you confront Hans on the 33rd floor. This mission is one of my favorites because it is so damn close to the film. Hans even says, "Shoot the glass," and you have to kill the terrorist and escape with McClane suffering from cut-up feet. I feel that levels like this do a really good job capturing the spirit of the film. In the next level, you even have to get to the bathroom and bandage McClane's feet before he dies. Everyone to the Roof is another one of my favorite missions. Here you have to escape the FBI chopper before it kills you, tie a fire hose to McClane, and jump off the roof before it explodes. Not to sound like a broken record, but again, this mission is so damn close to the film, even down to the dialogue. Sure, they might have missed a line or two, but it's still really close. The only unfortunate omission is that you don't actually see the iconic image of McClane jumping away from the explosion. But it's close enough for me. Also, the Just Like Saigon mission starts out well. Despite the frustrating controls, it's fun to shoot the glass and swing back inside the building. Plus, the mission continues to be fun with McClane gunning down more terrorists. Unfortunately, the mission stops being fun when you run into a bunch of fire and some cheap terrorists near a staircase. But we can't have everything, now can we? Funny enough, one of the game's weaker missions is true to the movie. It's Carl's Revenge, the boss fight with, well, Carl. With that name, who were you expecting to fight? Liberace? Now, if you were expecting some amazing, knockdown, drag-out fight like the film, well, keep dreaming, buddy. This boss battle is so insultingly easy that it's laughable. How easy is this battle, you might ask? Well, here, I'll show you. You can literally blow away Carl with the M60. That's it. Fuck, man. They couldn't have made him a little bit harder? And it begs the question, how can he come back to life after I ventilated his hide with 100 M60 rounds? Who the hell knows? Shit, you can even blow away Carl with your Beretta. Here, watch. Fan-fucking-tastic. One of the best movie fights ever, and they reduce it to this? What horseshit? And how fucking stupid is this enemy AI? When somebody is shooting at you, clearly the best strategy is to keep running at them and not return fire. Duh! While I'm on the subject of AI, several of the enemies in this game are fucking retarded. Ducking alone seems to outwit certain enemies. Just duck walk up to an enemy and shoot him in the balls and voila, you win. Jesus Christ, the terrorists in the movie weren't this stupid. Maybe the game version of Hans should hire smarter henchmen. Speaking of Hans, I'm on the fence about the final battle with him. It has its good points and its bad points. Unfortunately, they don't have the great pistol taped to McClane's back scene that they did in the film. Okay, in fairness, I think it would be hard to do in a first-person shooter. Unless it was like some kind of quick-time event. And then it might be over too soon. Instead, they have you sniping Hans in the vault with the Steyr AUG rifle. He's holding Holly hostage like the film, and you have to successfully nail him in 4 different sections before he goes out the window. Now in 3 sections, you can use some shells for cover. But in the 4th and last one, you have to hide behind a wall and risk exposing yourself to gunfire. If you miss and hit Holly, you automatically lose the game and have to start the level over again. Also, if you get too close, Hans kills Holly and again you lose the game. One criticism I have about this part is that the hit detection does feel a little off to me. Sometimes I think I get a good shot, but then I either miss Hans or I hit Holly and I lose. And then sometimes I think I miss Hans, but the game registers a hit. Go figure. Sometimes Holly can also help out by struggling with Hans and even occasionally pushing him back. This gives you the perfect opportunity to shoot him in the head a bunch of times. How his thick German skull can take all those rifle rounds, I don't know, but I'll take any advantage that I can get. Despite the deviations from the source material, I actually like this boss battle. And I think it's a good compromise. The basics from the film are still there. Han still has Holly hostage, it's still in the vault, he even recites some of his movie dialogue and goes out the window, just like the film. Even Eddie puts in a brief appearance before you riddle him with fucking bullets. True, there are differences. But at least it's tougher than the Carl boss fight, and they didn't take any major liberties with the source material. Unlike, say, the final helicopter boss battle in Die Hard for the PC Engine. Oh lord, that might be grist for a future review. So there are the missions. Some are great, some are good, some are bad, and some are unspeakably awful. It's a mix. Like I'm fond of saying, you have to take the sweet with the sour. Unfortunately, one area where this game really falls down is in its sound design. Now some of the sounds are good. Like the gunshots. They sound fairly close to the film. But dear Christ, the voice acting is some of the worst I've ever heard in a fucking game! I mean, it is seriously cringeworthy. Especially the guy who does Takagi.
I don't have the code. You broke in here to access our computer? Any information you get, when they wake up in Tokyo in the morning, they'll change it. You won't be able to blackmail our executives, threaten our
This is, without a doubt, some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard! Could this guy sound any more fake if he tried? And Takagi's not the only one. Listen to Hans.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Due to the Nakatomi Corporation's legacy of greed around the globe, it is about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
Due to the Nakatomi Corporation's legacy of greed around the world, they're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power. I don't think this guy could sound any more dead and monotone if he tried.
I'm going to count to 3. There will not be a 4. Give me the code.
Put some fucking emotion behind your lines, for Christ's sakes! Hell, couldn't they have done some retakes? I'm a rank amateur, and I bet I did more retakes than they did. Actually, here's a scary thought. What if these are the retakes? How much worse could the originals be? I'm almost curious enough to want to find out. They must be terrible beyond words. Almost everyone else sucks too. The guy doing McClane's voice is fucking awful. Listen to him.
No kidding, lady. Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? They've already killed one hostage. They are fortifying their positions while you're jerking my chain on a radio. Now send a police backup ASAP.
Now, admittedly, some of his line readings are alright.
Hans, you motherfucker, you made your point. Now let him pull back.
But a lot of his line readings are just pure shit.
Get downstairs, all of you. The whole roof is wired to blow.
He sounds like a little kid pretending to be John McClane. Here's Theo.
Those are the city engineers. They're going into the street circuits. And those guys in the suits, I don't know who they are.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember him sounding like Tom Sizemore. And then there's Carl.
We are both professionals, but this is personal. You killed my only family. For this, you will die.
You know your voice actors suck when you make Resident Evil voice actors sound good. And Argyle sounds like he just got castrated.
What's going on, McClane? Who are those punks?
If this was the best they could do, then they should have fired almost everybody and started all over from scratch. The only good vocal performance is from Reginald Bell Johnson.
I'm under automatic rifle fire in Nakatomi! I need backup assistance now! Now, goddammit, now!
Maybe it's because he's the only professional actor in the bunch, and he also played Al in the film. Everybody else, though, is a loss. Regrettably, the game's music isn't much better. The soundtrack is so dull and generic that it could have come from any game. They tried to replicate the great Die Hard score by Michael Kamen, but they failed miserably. Take the 30-second floor theme, for example. It is just so bland and forgettable. I wish they could have used Kamen's soundtrack, or at least gotten a better composer. There's one other odd point about the game that I'd like to address.
That's a very nice.
As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the game's dialogue is damn near verbatim from the film, which is to the game's credit.
I'm going to count.
But they do cut out certain lines, specifically some of the profanity. Now, if I wasn't such a big fan of the film, I wouldn't notice or care.
What was it you said to me before?
But I am, and I did. Like this line. In the movie, John says, "No fucking shit, lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?" Yet in the game, he doesn't say fuck. Why is this so? He said fuck earlier when he said, "I'll kiss your fucking Dalmatian." Also, McClane says his famous line, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!" To my everlasting relief, I might add. Yet later in the game, Hans doesn't mock McClane by saying, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." What, did they have a motherfucker ration or something? It's so bizarre that I can't even fathom why they did this. There's also a few other notable omissions. For example, McClane's famous line, "Welcome to the party, pal!" Still, to the game designer's credit, at least they got most of the famous lines in there.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Overall, I know I keep saying it, but I'm really on the fence about this game. It has so many problems that I should really give it a negative review. Yet it did enough right that I'm not about to throw the baby out with the bathwater. This game is very flawed, but I'd still give it a marginal recommendation. So in conclusion, there are better Die Hard games out there. But this one ekes by for me. Just barely. Give it a shot and see what you think.